everybody, it's Rolly from Rolly Max Music, back with another in our series of videos on helpful hints and tips for aspiring musicians. And today we're going to talk about an instrument that has recently regained its popularity. Actually, it's become more popular than ever before, the ukulele. Now, what the ukulele offers is something that's really quite valuable and is kind of missing in other instruments. And that is an instrument that is small and easy for even young children to play. We often get asked, how old should my son or daughter be when we start them on guitar? And of course that depends on the individual, but what it really depends on is if their little fingers can press down on the strings. And most guitars have steel strings, so they're rather hard to press down on. And you have to press down properly to get the sound, unlike an instrument like the piano or the keyboard, where you just hit the key and there it is. You're actually producing the sound with all stringed instruments by pressing the string against the fret. So what the advantages are for the ukulele over the guitar, especially when it comes to young people or people with small hands, small fingers who have difficulty pressing, is first of all, the size of the instrument. As you can see, the ukulele is a lot smaller than the guitar. And if we compare the frets are a lot closer together, so there's not as much reach involved. And then the other main factor is that on the ukulele, the strings are made of nylon, so they offer very little resistance. Now, of course, you can get nylon string guitars. The classical or Spanish guitar is always equipped with nylon strings, well, always, unless you switch them out afterwards, but that's what they're designed to use. So they're a little bit easier to play, but they still have those wide necks and the frets are that far apart as opposed to that far apart. So the other thing about the ukulele is it's a fairly quiet instrument, and again goes back to the nylon strings and also to the size of the instrument. So you can, of course, get a model that plugs in. You can actually get some really, really nice instruments, and if you go to Hawaii, you will find very few guitars. As a matter of fact, if you go and listen to some local bands, usually the lead playing is done by a ukulele, or ukulele as they pronounce it, and it'll be a model with electronics in it, and they do all the lead guitar and stuff like that. It's actually it works quite well. So now, choosing a ukulele, which one is the best for you or for your child? The big advantage over a lot of other instruments is you don't have to spend a whole lot. Now, with guitars, that can be true as well, because the guitar being the most common musical instrument in the world, there's like millions of them out there, and in any urban area, there's thousands of them that people are selling used, so you can get a pretty good deal if you know what you're looking for. With the ukulele, the thing is, even if you get a really cheap one, like this one here, is actually meant to be a souvenir. You see it's kind of cute, sound holes cut out in the shape of a palm tree. And it's made in China, even though it's sold in Hawaii. And it does the job just fine. So so you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on an instrument. For under $100, you can get something that sounds really good, and it'll play really well, and the strings don't wear out very easily. They're readily available at most music stores, and then after you've mastered it, then you can always work your way up to a fancier, more expensive model. Now, This one, by the way, I think it's probably worth about, I don't know, it's definitely under $50. I don't know how much they paid for it because one of my students was in Hawaii and bought it for me as a kind of a souvenir, as a gift or whatever. And I've been playing it for quite a few years now, and no problem. It does everything I want it to. Now, when you are ready for something a little bit more specialized and more high-end, I'm just going to show you one that's kind of the opposite. This is a U-bass. It's made by Kala, which is one of the top ukulele manufacturers in the world. So they're kind of like the Fender of ukuleles. And this one is a bass ukulele, but as you can see, the strings, although they're not nylon, they're a thick rubber. So even though it's a bass instrument, you're still dealing with something a lot smaller than the guitar version. Basses tend to be even bigger than regular six-string guitars. So let's put this thing back here. So you're getting like strings that are, I guess I should have showed you with that bass there, but they're just as thick as the instrument, the regular bass guitar instrument strings. But just like on the regular ukulele, they're very light and easy to press, and the instrument is small. So if you have an aspiring young bass player on your hands, this might be a good solution for them. And when you start playing it, it has a really nice big sound. Of course, it's amplified. So that's an instrument, if your fingers are too short to play the bass, typically your stereotypical, I'm using typical too much here, your stereotypical bass player has these big long fingers. If you're into jazz, you might have heard of a bass player named Stanley Clark, and he's known for his fingers being about, well, probably twice as long as mine, and he's an awesome bass player, and he can play any electric bass or upright and that. But if you're not blessed with fingers like that yet, then this is a great solution for learning and getting good at it. Now, this particular model is also fretless, so you can get those slidey type notes that you would get on an upright bass. This one, however, it does have a little bit of a drawback if you're looking for a cheap way to get into bass instruments, because electric ukuleles tend to cost a lot more than their acoustic counterparts here. And so that particular model I showed you, this Kala U-bass, goes for around $600, but worth every penny, because it's even for an experienced bass player, it's a nice, small, portable, good-sounding instrument that has many uses. It's great for backyard parties and campfires. You just get a little portable amp and away you go. You do need an amp, because if you play it unamplified, it's just, like most bass instruments that are acoustic, it's a little bit too quiet. As a matter of fact, even the upright bass, the double bass, was considered too quiet. Back in the 50s, when they did 50s rock and roll, they would double the upright bass part with an electric guitar part so you could distinguish the notes. So there's a few different techniques, just like on guitar. There's different ways to approach the ukulele, or ukulele if you're Hawaiian. You can just play it with your fingers and just do that sort of a strum. Of course, using our relaxed hand position, our default position. If you watched our first video in the series, it talks about the golden rule of technique, which is keep your hands as relaxed as possible all the time. Take the easiest way out every single time. So it doesn't take a whole lot. Like on a guitar, that might not come out as well. You may have to hit it harder, like a flamenco guitarist. You can also, while you're still using your fingers, you can also do the fast picking. And then if you are coming from guitar, switching to ukulele, or if you're planning on switching to guitar later on and ukulele is your first instrument, then you can use the pick just like on the guitar. So we hold it the same way that we hold a guitar pick, and plant the right hand the same way, and it just gives you a little bit more clarity. And when you're strumming, of course, the chords sound a bit louder. So those are just a few things to consider if you're starting out, or you have a son or daughter who's starting out on music and is drawn towards stringed instruments like the guitar or the bass, but they're just a little too young or too small to be able to get good results on a full-size instrument. This is definitely a very good option. So once again, like with all these videos, we would like to thank the Willow Ridge Community Association for sponsoring this series of videos. Rolling Max Music, of course, is located in the Willow Ridge Community Hall. We've been here for, we must have celebrated our 10th anniversary at least by now. But check out any of the websites, any of the social media sites for the Willow Ridge Community Association. There's lots of programs going on. And of course, we're here in the hall, and the good news is we're now not just limited to lessons at the hall. We're offering online lessons, so you don't have to live in or close to the Willow Ridge community in order to come and take lessons. You can do it online from anywhere in the world. So if you have any questions on the content of today's video or any of our other videos, by all means, give us a call, a text. You can email us at rollingmaxmusic@live.com. rollingmaxmusic@gmail.com. Gave you the old email address. You won't get very far with that one. So until next time, happy playing, and watch for our other videos covering all kinds of different instruments. Pretty much anything that you can imagine.